this is another subject we're going to talk about, the ESL voting system and
that was
potentially shooting themselves in the foot. Yeah, okay, well, let's do it now. So you do everything you can as an organization to bring Virtus Pro back into your league. Why not just fucking bring them back into your league if you're going to make it that obvious? But then they got absolutely screwed by this move, and now you're left with 3 players on the outside. Okay,
Three of the world's best
first and
players.
foremost, that game, I'm not going to read into it too much. Virtus played fairly well, I thought, which
Well, the thing is,
they're online.
VP are normally horrible online, so this is pretty impressive to see them step up in this game.
And I'm glad they're sticking out seemingly. We've heard nothing about roster changes on their front, seemingly as a lineup. And again, the longest standing lineup in CS right now by a long shot.
And they just won E-League, to be fair. So
Exactly. And I don't think their lane performances have been terrible. Katowice, they went out in the group stages, but it was the 6-team, what do we call that? The Swiss-style groups.
Yep.
So it was 6 teams in each group. You all play each other in a round-robin format. It's not directly a double elimination. And they only missed out by moving through by, like, I think it was an overtime in one of their decisions. Anyway, it was a close scoreline. And other than that, their LAN performances all year have been fairly decent. I mean,
they won Star Ladder.
Legends twice at majors. Now, again, you lost to Astralis. You went into overtime with Astralis, who had a stand-in. That was a little bit shaky there at Cologne.
Every playoff game was overtime, I think, if I remember correctly. I think that was the point we were making. Do you remember the semi-final casted?
Because you had Cobblestone with
and you had that
SK.
line saying, it's not the age, it's the mileage. Have you said that?
Yeah, it is. He's good like that. He's good with the PR. But the thing is that they still have it. They just have to get their shit together online. And I'm glad they're back in Pro League over Godsent, because there's a couple things to look at this. Godsent's a new team. The hype's still with them. Now, whether or not they deserve to get into the vote, that's the debate. But
I think the whole vote.
It was a bit of a
that's a debate, to be honest.
Yeah, but Godsent's not going to win a game that fast. You know, interestingly enough, the NA games were delayed. Your EU one wasn't, and they were forced to play. But there was a tweet by Flusher saying, like, okay, we couldn't reschedule our game. Why could the Americans reschedule? There's maybe something going on there. We have no intel. I wish I did. But like that's a strange turn of results, right? Like they're allowed to reschedule and the EU guys weren't. I feel like this whole voting system, it was a nice idea in terms of, I think their intentions are in the right place, in the sense of like, oh, let's make it really cool and fun for the audience, and like, let's see who they really want to be there. But ultimately, you should be on merits. You should be on results. You shouldn't be in because you have the biggest social media backing, right? That doesn't really make sense. Yeah. And this, like you said, there kind of has shot them in the foot. Now this lineup shuffle has locked out 3 of the best players on the planet, and you have got VP. That's great. But now you're going to have them in another online season. Are they going to be as lackluster as they were last season? And now the debate because ESL's never stated this, and ESEA back in the day was the core keeps the spot.
Yeah.
So in that sense, Godsent instantly get the spot. Why are they even in this game? Because that's your 3, that's your core, right?
This is why I've been seeing the tweets.
But they stay in upper. And apparently, when they amalgamate or merge the 2 leagues, whatever amalgamate merged, ESCA invite with ESL and made the Pro League.
Yeah.
There was no transparency in rules. In fact, I had players like Daps tweeting me saying that no, they've had disputes go either way because there was conflict in the rules based on one league having one and one league having the other. Now there's a shitstorm going on in both Europe with this and in North America, and TSM's on the outside, and teams like who's the team that kept 2 and carried it over right now? Not Selfless. My mind's slipping, but there's a couple people, and we'll look it up in a second. We've got it written down here, but there's a couple people that are keeping spots in the league that arguably shouldn't be. And where does the rule stand? And if the rule was in place and clear cut, why are these teams in the vote?
The lines are certainly blurred right now, and I think that's the problem. That just seems to be the major issue here. There's no clean-cut rules. It seems like there's enough like loopholes and kind of like managerial speak in there that kind of allows them to change anything that they like, and that's their league. It's up to them. Like you sign up to it and you can play in it, but you're gonna have to prepare yourself for this kind of shitstorm in terms of PR. That's the only problem I can see with it. Like, just make everything very defined, very clear. Like every other league, people slagged off E-League, right? But it was very clear and it was done. They were very clear with their punishments. And even if they kicked out Luminosity, the best team in the planet at the time.
They kept Luminosity because the org stayed.
Yeah, I mean exactly. They kicked out the best team. Like. Yeah. Had that been ESL, let's be honest, like would that have come in? Would they have said, "Oh, we can't lose the best team in the world"?
It seems like to me that ESL wants to play the game that they guarantee themselves having the best teams, hence the Virtus Pro thing. But they just dance around politically to do it.
Yeah,
just come up with a straight, clear cut. And so now we're hearing all kinds of like, why was the NA game pushed back?
Yeah, that's the thing. I have no idea. I've seen tweets, and obviously a lot of people have fingers on Reddit from Flush's tweet and all that sort of thing. From what I've seen, there's no clear answer. I think there's a tweet longer from the Flying DJ, and I didn't have time to read it. I didn't even open that up. I haven't seen it yet. But
I mean, this is a can of worms. I mean, because if DNA teams are in a situation where they're pissed off about it,
and it's not resolved, are some teams going to try, like, what's the solution? How does ESL, so basically I'm hearing rumors as well beyond this that teams in NA are not necessarily boycotting, but putting pressure on the league to have this fixed before the season starts. And potentially I don't know if that's why the delay happened or not for the relegation game, but potentially it could be. And like, if they're putting that kind of pressure, how do you fix this? And you have to make it clear cut. Do you put a public statement out, new rules, expand the league? Like, how do you get everyone in and make it
an
finalized?
announcement needs to come out. I mean, you say these are the rules going forward. Like, we know they've been blurred from now on. There's definitely grey areas in a lot of these different segments of the rules. They just need to redefine them and say, look, this is the structure we're going for now. Starting from now, these are the rules. We're going to have a clean sheet. I feel like this whole them having the power to change it, however they kind of benefits the league the most, and like I just don't think that's going to work out for them going forward. I think this league, it could have troubles next season if people get so pissed off from this and say, like, we're not even going to play in this. Like,
yeah, exactly.
There's so many leagues going on. Like, we talk about this oversaturation thing. It takes an online league. Sure, it's got tons of cash in it, but if you want to send a statement out and say, like, we're going to kind of come together and not play in this league, something like that could be a real possibility.
It could be.
And you need to be very careful. Like, you're only as good as the teams within your league, right? If all the top teams decide not to play in it, that becomes a different kind of kettle of fish.
And interesting that I was just talking with a few people today that I was hanging out with while we were setting up, and just various people around town. A lot of people are in town for Gamescom. Obviously, ESL's offices are here. We're in town for Pro League starting tomorrow. Anyway, the interesting thing is we were talking about this, and there's multiple leagues. It's not like a sport where there's an NHL, you've got your franchises, and that's it. You've got 20 players signed to the team who owns the spot, who pays you your salary. It's not really clear. And not only that, we have 3 tiers in esports, because we have the orgs, the leagues, who are all trying to dictate and create. We had Wessa come in, and we don't know where they sit right now in WSA, that tied with some of the teams that have been around, and it seems like there's some complications with Ralph, and look, Thorin and Richard Lewis have talked extensively about that. There was lots of cluster on Reddit about it. You can go back and find it. And then we've got teams themselves. We've never seen a players' union happen yet, but we've got a team union that was trying to form. Teams trying to dictate. Teams owning the ownership spots in E-League. And then the third tier in esports that we have that's unique, the player core, which the 5-man roster, which also has weight. And all of them are playing tug-of-war with each other on a straight rope that doesn't go 3 ways.
This is the problem. Like, that's why the Wesso idea, it sounds great in terms of like having a global uniform body that looks after everything. They define the rule set, right? But that needs to come from Valve. That's what needs to happen. We need someone like a commissioner in Valve who's kind of looking after that.
Do it. Like,
no, obviously not. But like that's where it needs to come from. That needs to be the governing body. Take it to the very top, right? And they're starting control. And they set the rule sets out. If you want to run a league in our game, these are the rules you need to adhere to. This is the playing conditions we need. This is what you need to do. This is the terms of playing the prize money. These are the rules that need to be used in terms of the shuffles and all this sort of stuff. Then it's like kind of like actual sports, and you have one governing body, and then you have little what's the right word there? Kind of different lower tiers of that, I guess.
Subdivisions or yeah, I get what you mean. Like an echelon of like a division. You have an amateur. Sure. Look, people hate on Riot, and it's because Riot can be quite dictatorship at times. But the LCS and the Challenger Series is a reasonably good model.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
It's very cutthroat, and I'm not saying the management of it's the best. I don't follow it closely, so I can't speak to all of the political and sort of financial implications. Exactly, you've got one league, you know who your members are, you can create unions around that, you can create transparency between the league and the the teams and the organizers, and everyone can get their say. It's hard to do that in CS. If you don't have one league, how do you create a teams union if ECS has 10 teams plus, we'll say, just example, Godsent in this case, and ESL has the same plus VP in this case, whatever it is, right? It's not the same team, so how do you create one sort of infrastructure for that? And the LCS with the Challenger Series does make a little bit of sense.